Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I have quite a packed episode with a bunch of different things to share. Lots of knitting with new projects, a pattern release on Ravelry. I also have some knitting pattern books to share, some yarns. I have the result of my Insomnia shopping of the past couple of weeks. It's not even all there, but yeah, I have some yarn that I just want to show you because it's pretty. And we're quite lucky today because it seems like it's rather sunnish. The wind is back. If you don't know, I live in a very windy area. By that I mean that 70 kilometers per hour wind is just little wind, normal. We're used to having a little worse than that even. So the weather is changing very quickly. And we seem to be back to that, which is good, because even though we complain about the wind all the time, when it's not there, like it hasn't been there for 3 months all over the summer, it was a nightmare. So now it's back, so very good, but it just means that while it may be sunnish right now, in 5 minutes it may as well be super dark. So we'll see how it goes, but so far so good. Enough about the weather. I just received a gift from a British friend, so maybe that's why I feel compelled to talk about the weather. Thank you so much, Cran, if you're watching. You can find timestamps for all the different parts of the podcast in the description down below, so if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. And I will also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media and patterns for sale on Ravelry. I am going to start by just telling you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing my Tolosa sweater, which is a design by me that I knitted out of Maison Carlaine Belle Epoque yarns in the Sibyl colorway. And yes, I'm just wearing it under that kimono type thing because it's not cold, it's not warm, it's like weird. That is what I'm wearing today, and I think we can jump right in with some knitting. I have one finished object, I believe one new cast on that you haven't seen before, and some progress on whips that I have shown you previously. My finished object, we're starting well this week. My first and only finished object is a pair of mittens, and you never saw that because this is like the world's quickest project. And so I'm gonna quickly show them to you because this is a design of mine, and I'll just show you more once they are ready to be published on Ravelry. So what happened was, I'm sure you've all seen Jewels, the new Making Stories publication, and one of the patterns in it, the Topaz sweater, is a beautiful colorwork yoke with these geometric shapes, and it uses two-couple fingering, and it specifically uses these 3 colors. And these are colors that, it's like golden olive, really dark blue, and the mauve colorway, like the pinkish grayish thingy, and you wouldn't see them together, but that sweater is beautiful. It works really well. I really like it. And guess what exact colors of two-couple I had in my stash? These leftovers from a bunch of different things, and I have an end that sneaked out. I'm going to fix that later. A little sticky. So I decided I wanted to make something quickly just to make them all work together because I thought it was really nice. And so I came up with these fingerless mitts, and so as you can see, they're fingerless mitts with a little bit of color work and these leaf motif on the palm. And they're really, really quick to do. I seriously knitted them in like, yeah, maybe 4 hours total, while doing a bunch of other things, and being sometimes captivated by La Casa de Papel, which I was watching on Netflix. But yeah, so I came up with these, and they're really fun to do. They're interesting. The leaf motif, which I had to tweak a little bit so it would work, and change a few of the stitches. It has 2 stitches that are sort of unusual, but I did film tutorials for them. So these are currently being test knitted. 3 of my testers have already finished 1 mitten, and I sent them the pattern 3 days ago? 2 days ago? I don't know. Yeah, I told you, it's super quick. But yeah, I will share them again once they're ready for Ravelry, but I really, really like them. At first I thought I would make an all-over colorwork thing, but I couldn't. I did drew something that I really like, a colorwork motif. Again, something leafy, but in colorwork, and I really like it, but it wasn't working with these colors, and I don't know, I had much more left over of the main color, which is Valo. The blue is Tuni, and that is Uyo, that you all know. And yeah, I had much more leftovers of this mustardy greeny thing, and so I wanted to, and I really like it, so I wanted to use it a lot, and so I ended up not doing the colorwork thingy, but instead I came up with I found this thing, I modified it, and yeah, it's really nice. One thing that I always find with mittens is this: are my hands so small? I don't think they are. Like, my wrist is 14.5 centimeters, and then yes, I have rather long fingers, but I don't think my hands are that small. And you know, whenever I look at mitten patterns, unless they're colorwork, if they're colorwork, it's okay, because I can do what you're not supposed to do, which is knit it very tight, so it's a rather small mitten in the end. But if they're not colorwork, like I did the World's Simplest Mittens by Tinka Knits, which comes in a range of sizes from toddler, from baby to adult extra large. I had to do the toddler size for me, and I had to take the no, what did I have to do? I tweaked the stitch count again, because they, not only do they come in multiple sizes, they're also graded for fingering weight, sport, decay, and I think worsted, I'm not sure. I had to tweak that as well. But yeah, I had to cast on the toddler size. And so, I don't understand, because yes, Chukuwo fingering is a little bit on the thicker side for a fingering weight. My gauge for these are 24 stitches per 10 centimeters, which for mittens is rather big in fingering weight. Some of my testers are using like a more sport weight yarn, which is what I wrote in the pattern, because I know that 24 stitches per 10 centimeters for mittens, which it's kind of like socks. For me, you kind of want them, fingerless mittens at least, you kind of want them to be dense so that they hold up better in time. And yeah, I already knit fingerless mittens in fingering weight, and yeah, I think the stitch count was like 60 or something, so instinctively I started casting on 60 stitches. I could fit like 3 of my wrist in that thing. So yeah, once I saw what Geisha was having, I was like, okay, ridiculous. So the smallest size, which is the one I have knitted, is 36 stitches all around, which explains why it's so fast. And then I graded it I graded 4 sizes because I know that some people might not like having them really snug like I do. So I graded a bunch of different sizes, so you can choose depending on your size and on the fit that you want. But yeah, they're really cool. I like them. They're called Vath. The Vath Mittens. Oh, you can say Vath if you like. V-A-T-H. Because it means valley in Occitan. As usual, my never-ending source of pattern names. But yeah, they are, like I said, being test knitted, and yeah, I should probably have them ready sometime in November, I believe. Their little end is fixed. But yeah, this is what I spent a little bit of my time last weekend making, and I'm really happy with them. I really like them. And so yeah, impromptu new project that is already finished. Yeah, let's see in what order I can do this. I have made some progress on my whips. First of all, I have knitted on my alpaca poncho, which I'm not going to show you, but I knitted this much, I swear. I'm coming to it. Maybe it will be done in the spring. I have, yes, made some progress on my wool and honey sweater, which is a pattern by Andrea Mowry, and it is this gorgeous, where is the front, where is the back? It is this gorgeous yoke sweater with this, oh my god, it's so beautiful, with this absolutely stunning honeycomb elongated stitches pattern. And so I am working on the yoke, and it is so much fun to do. I really enjoy it. It's rather like I'm doing it from the written instructions of the yoke, which go around a few pages. I believe I'm past the halfway point of the first section of the yoke, and then I have a second section of the yoke. It's quite a low armhole, I believe. And yeah, I really like it. It's quite meditative to do, because once you understand how it works, it's just, yeah, just have to check exactly how many rows you're knitting in between the points where you form the honeycomb. And it's on a garter stitch background, which works really well. I believe it would have worked with reverse stockinette as well, but I understand why you would want it to be garter, because garter just fills the thing a little bit more. It's more squishy. So yeah, I really like it. I'm knitting it out of Holst Supersoft in the Nougat color, which is this pale grey. So yeah, the thing is, I'm really eager to have a bigger yoke, like close to the arm separations, so I can try it on, because I'm concerned about the fit, because I did swatch and I do have gauge. However, whenever I swatched and had gauge, is precisely the times where it did not work. It works when it's my designs for some reason. Maybe I'm more careful about maintaining the same gauge throughout, but yeah, I don't know. I'm more, it's ridiculous, I'm more worried about the fit when I did swatch for a sweater than when I don't. So yeah, the thing is, this is garter stitch. I'm not so used to garter stitch garments, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much it will stretch, I don't know. I'm considering blocking the yoke once it's done, then try it on, then knit the body and the sleeves. Or rip it all off in case it doesn't work. It seems okay for the beginning, because when I look at the pictures, the second honeycomb shape is still on the top of the shoulder, which works for me if I have it like this. But yeah, I still have a lot of increased rounds to do. hopefully it's good. But I really like how it's looking. It's really fun to work. It's yeah, I thought it would be more involved than it is, so it is nice to have it being actually quite relaxed knit. As you can see, it's like, it's round. I really like that roundish shape when you're just at that point of the yoke where it takes all your needles but it's not scrunched up yet, so you can see it flat. Yeah, this does fit. Like I told you last week, I tried the neckline and the neckline does go over my head. So we'll see. I think I really want to have this because I just think it's going to look really great in my wardrobe with some of my clothes. I have a linen skirt in a dark grey, and I'm picturing this monochrome outfit with shades of grey and black, and I think it will look very good. So I really want it done. I'm enjoying it. I love the yarn, as you know. So yeah, this is my nighttime knitting when I'm done working. So I have also done some progress on my little cabled wrap that I am knitting in, designing in collaboration with Maison Carlaine, the French indie dyer, for their new collection, their new yarn bases that they're going to release. And so this is a Falkland merino base, which was grey from the start and dyed in this stunning green. I have done quite a consistent progress. Consistent? No. Yeah, consistent. I don't know. No, that's not what it means in English. Some progress. Let's stop trying to find vocabulary when it's... Oh, can you actually see the cables now? So, I believe last week I was like just started everything around here, and so I have now completed one section of the shawl. So as you can see, it has these stitch borders at the bottom as well, and it has these cables that run. Yeah, it's obviously overexposed at the moment, but at least you can see the cables. And yes, then I have this section here, which I really like. It is like smocked, not smoked, but smock, is it how you say it? Stitches, you know, wrapped stitches here, which I really like, and I'm really into diamond shapes at the moment, obviously. Because, yeah, diamonds. Honeycomb is kind of, yeah, no, it's not a diamond, but you get what I mean. Geometry is the thing. And so I did that, and I wanted it to break the little cables that happen throughout the rest of the shawl, and I kept frogging and tried a bunch of different things, and in the end I ended up putting a VCAL braid. Surprise! I'm totally not using that everywhere at the moment, so it is discreet because of how fine the yarn is, and I really like this because you can see that there's something. It's quite a subtle ornament, and then when you look at it you actually see the line here that breaks the motif. So I'm gonna try to get up to show you better. Yeah, so this is like one part of the shawl, and now I'm basically just going to repeat everything. Trying to keep my hair out of the way. Yeah, I really like the color. It's the thing is with this yarn is that I am happily surprised with the stitch definition. I believe I talked about it last week as well, but the cables do show really nicely even when it's not overexposed like it is at the moment. But yes, This is going to be quite a large wrap, and I just can't wait to have more of it done to kind of have an impression of, you know, how it's going to be. I don't know. Yeah. I am currently on my second skein, and yes, I will have this ready for testing soonish. I wanted to say there's something about designing shawl that I find interesting is yarn usage. Basically, it is the part of designing that I find the trickiest, weirdly enough. It's easier for sweaters because so the way it works for sweater is that you can calculate the meterage or yardage requirement rather easy. Well, it's quite a pain, but it's just mathematical. So you're gonna have your swatch, for example, and you know that, for example, your swatch is 15 centimeters square, and you can weigh your swatch so you know how much yarn you used for that swatch, and then for the surface, and then you can calculate the surface of each size of the garment because you know their measurements. So if you know the surface that they will occupy, if they were flat, for example, you can, and you know how much yarn your little surface used, well then you can just cross and calculate how much your sample is going to weigh because of its surface. Does that make sense? But that only works if you are consistent with gauge, and for sweaters people tend to get the right gauge more so than shawls, which is normal because yeah, I always write in my patterns for shawls that you should use the needle size that give you the fabric that you want, that you like, because you know you might use a slightly thinner, a slightly thicker yarn, even if it's in the same range of weight. And some people like their shawl to be very loose, some people like their shawl to be very dense. And yeah, for testing I do prefer that my testers try to get the gauge even for shawls. But then once the pattern is out, I know that it doesn't matter. Because myself, when I knit a shawl by another designer, I just know what yarn I want to use, and so I say, okay, I know I like this yarn with that needle size, giving me that sort of gauge, so I'm just going to do it. And I don't even look at the pattern gauge, which alters how much yarn I use. So, which is why calculating meterage requirement for shawl design is a little bit tricky for me, because I don't want people to fall short, to not have enough yarn, or to be left with too much should they not use the same gauge as I do. So yeah, it's a bit tricky. So I always try, whenever possible, either to give options to make sure the shawl bigger or different, or when it's possible, and it's the case with rectangular wraps, I like to give points where you should have used that much yarn, if that makes sense, because the stitch count doesn't move and the shawl is going to be divided into equal parts. So I can say you knit until you have used X% of your yarn, and that way whichever yarn you use, whichever gauge, whatever amount of it you have, you're able to adjust. And so, yeah, yes, it will give you a different size wrap, but I mean, you deal with that. I just deal with you hopefully not running out of yarn. while you knit my pattern. So that is what I'm doing for this. Like this is a point where I marked something about yarn usage, and yeah, this is Hylde. I didn't tell you its name. Hylde with a E, not an A. It's just a very old-fashioned name that I like, and I thought it suited the wrap. So I'm trying. It's really hard to show. But yeah, I think it doesn't come out really pretty in the video, but it is really pretty in real life, and I do hope I'll be able to take nice photographs of it. But yeah, I've been working on that, as you can see, quite a lot. I've already started the second session, which is just the same, so yep. It's going to be really nice and striking. Mostly because of how gorgeous that color is, yes. Yes. That's it. I think I have just quickly a pattern release to share before I move on to my works in progress. So you have seen this hat in the past while I was working on it and I had finished it. This is the Millma hat, which is a colorwork hat in fingering weight using 3 colors and having this motif all around. So I have just published it on Ravelry. So it is there. You can find the link in the description down below, like everything else. And you can check my tester's version, which should pop up on Ravelry in the next couple of days. They did really nice versions of it, and yeah, it's a very easy chart. It's yeah, it's a good first colorwork project, I believe. There's just a few points where you need to catch floats, but not so much. You can add a pom-pom. I've been wondering, should I have added a pom-pom, like a blue pom-pom? The dark blue here? I don't know. I usually always put pom-pom, so I thought it would be nice for a change not to. But yes, I really like it. So I knitted it out of Holst Supersoft in Nougat, vintage heather and gold crest for the small contrast color. And yes, so light fingering weight or fingering weights. You can adjust the gauge to get different sizes. As you can see, I have room and I have lots of hair. And so yeah, it should fit most women's head as written, but should you wish to make a bigger or smaller finished circumference, I do provide the formula for you to calculate it easily. And there are 3 different charts in the pattern. I thought it was quite fun. There's a color version, then there's a black and white version if you want to print it, and then I had one tester who had an opposite contrast. Does that make sense? So I think, yeah, and it was quite it's always tricky, you know, when the chart is like a dark color on a clear color and you're actually knitting the opposite, so it's always tricky, and you often make a mistake because you just confuse in your head what is the chart and what is your knitting. And so what I did is that I did color in version of the chart. So basically it's a chart that just has symbols in it, and you can either knit from it just like this, or if you want you can print it and color in, or edit and put colors in the right symbols so that you can visualize what your hat will look like, and it'd be easier to knit in case you have a darker background and a lighter contrast color, which looks really nice as well. So yes, the Millma hat is available on Ravelry. As usual, there is a little discount code for you for the pattern release. It is Millma, and it will give you 20% off the pattern until like Monday. Yeah, I hope you like it. I think it's really nice. It's a quick knit again, so if you have any Christmas gift knitting plan, I think it's really cool. It can be it is rather gender neutral, depending on the colors, especially if you don't put a pom-pom, I guess. I don't know, Marius, would you wear a pom-pom? I doubt he will, but he did, my boyfriend did say that he really liked it, and in fact I'm going to make him something similar, a little bit warmer, which I will talk about later. But yes, Millma, I hope you like it. I really do. I think it's a really great first colorwork project at a rather dense gauge. So if you want to test one of those very fine yarns like Holst, Supersoft, the Jamiesons and Smith, the BC Garn yarns, you know, these really fine colorwork yarns, I think it's a good thing to try it out. And since it's so dense, it makes a really thick and warm hat. Do you want to see my floats? So yeah, there's a few points where you need to catch the floats, here and here. Basically, where it's not pretty is where you catch floats. If not, it's kind of cool. I'm considering, if you know of any design, colorwork design, that has the wrong side facing, can you please show me? Because I think it looks kind of cool. If you make something really neat, with really no long floats, it's kind of nice, it's kind of interesting. The floats facing, I don't know, is it a thing? Can we do that? I think it's interesting. Yeah, so Millma hat available for you on Ravelry, if you care to have a look. And yes, that is it for all the projects that you already know of. And I have a new whip to share with you, which is, oh my god, which is all tangled, because it has 2 yarns attached. It is a new design again, and it's a shawl design. I just wanted, currently, well, the Hylde wrap that I'm designing, it's all set, it's all planned, the pattern is written, everything is ready. I just need to knit on it. And I kind of felt, sometimes it happens, I kind of feel like I just want to design something that is not so planned, that I can just, this really annoys me. I'm gonna cut them because I keep putting them to the other side. Someone is going to hate me for doing that. But yeah, I just want to design something that is not so planned, you know, that I have ideas, but I'm letting it transform eventually as I work on it. And when I want that, what I usually do is a garter stitch based shawl. And so, ta-da, this is what I'm doing. So it's going to be an asymmetrical shawl, because that's just, I wanted something easy, I wanted something mindless and cool to work in the evenings, and so this is what I did. So it's going to be a lot of garter stitch, some mosaic knitting, some brioche, one color brioche, because I kind of prefer one color brioche. I don't know, I really like the look of one color brioche. I think it's really fun as a texture interest alone. And so yes, I am mostly being picky on details with this. there's always something about the edge of a shawl, you know, it needs to be stretchy, it needs to be neat, and yeah, I just played around with slip stitches and whether you slip them purlwise, knitwise, on what row you do that, and I think I ended up with something rather nice. So yeah, as you can, I don't know if you can see, basically, yeah, it makes a really elastic edge, and it's all of them on both sides, they're twisted the same way. They're twisted twice, actually. They're slipped and twisted twice, and it just makes a really neat twisted braid on both sides. They're the same, which, yeah, was nice, and it looks neat, so I'm really happy with that. And then I put a little bit of mosaic, and it will be my first time designing something with mosaic. I really like it. It's super fun. I especially like garter mosaic, so this is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing rather simple motif because I want it to be perhaps an introduction to mosaic knitting as well. And it's also kind of my first time knitting mosaic knitting, so it just makes sense. It's really simple. It's much simpler than color work. You don't have to worry about floats. Yeah, it's just one color at a time. It's just a little bit different to understand the concept of, but I will film a tutorial for the pattern. It will be included in the pattern with the charts, just showing you how you read the chart that I have made, and I believe all mosaic charts are kind of similar, so yeah, in case it is your first time seeing a mosaic chart, there will be help on how to read it and instructions on how mosaic work. And yeah, so like I said, in that case it's garter stitch. I just started the second motif. It's going to be like a thing, a geometric thing again, and yeah, it's really fun to work. The one thing though is that I find that my mosaic knitting, the garter mosaic, is really loose. It's too loose. It doesn't look good if I keep the same needle size and the same gauge as I do in normal garter. So, which is why I am using 3.75 for the main shawl and going down to 3.25 millimeter needles for the mosaic parts. So yeah, I will also write that in the pattern, obviously. I am using a fingering weight yarn, a hand-dyed yarn from a French dyer, which is Yarn by Simone. That's her logo here. And she makes tonals that are solids. It's flawless. It's hand-dyed and it's flawless, even colors. And I really like her palette. And yeah, I thought that it would be interesting to have kind of a simple shawl that is easy. It's superwash merino. This is superwash merino, and this is a sock base, so it has a little bit of nylon in it. I have 150 grams and 2 minis, so I don't know if it's something that she does regularly, but I thought I saw on her shop this 150 grams skein, so it has 600 meters. And I thought it was quite convenient, and if I could get a shawl out of this 1.5 skein and 2 minis, it would be quite nice, a nicely packed shawl, because I like fingering weight shawl, you know, the trendy shawl that use hand-dyed yarns, but most of the time they use a lot of yarn and a lot of different colors. And so my idea was to, yes, have a shawl with different colors, but try and make it a little bit more reasonable regarding the yarn that it uses. And so, for example, if you were to use, a lot of brands sell their yarn by 50 gram. So if you, you could just get 3 for the main color and then 2 for the minis. If you don't have 20 gram minis like I do. But yeah, this is silver grey. Then the caramel is toffee, it's toffee. And the black color, which is a pure pitch black yarn, which by Simone is really renowned for. It's just black, it's only black. And I washed it. I soaked it before using it because I just wanted to be careful, because I didn't want it to bleed over the light grey, obviously. And you know, black just bleeds. And the water was a little bit purplish, but very slightly. Nothing that would have tainted the other color. So I think I'm safe regarding that. And I can just go on. And yeah, it's fun and mindless, and I'm just letting myself changing stuff. I tweaked the mosaic motif a bunch of times. I'm not so sure about proportions, I'm just doing it a bit randomly. It might not be symmetrical at all, because then I want to repeat that as the shawl grows. As you can see, it increases on one side. Yeah, it's really fun to be working on, and quite a relaxing change. I had a fear that it would look very Halloweeny with the toffee and the black, but actually it doesn't. It does look autumnal, but not so much Halloweeny, because the yarn is mostly grey. So that's cool. What else did I want to say about this? It's going to be called Poppa. The Poppa shawl. I don't know why. I just saw this popped. Poppa. I don't know. Ideas. But yes, I did want to say something else and I forgot. Yes. Oh yes, I want to make tassels. I kind of want to make tassels out of the minis. I'm not sure I'll have enough because this is my second mosaic, and then there will be repeated sometime in the future of the shawl. But obviously at that point the stitch count would be more important, and yeah, I hope I have enough. If not, you know, I'll just buy. These are colors that she has regularly, so I'll probably be able to get more. But yeah, it would kind of ruin my idea of it being a yarn usage conscious shawl if I have to buy another mini just to make tassels. But yeah, I was thinking I wanted 2 toffee tassels at the edges here and 1 black in the center, because it's going to be like this, you know. If you don't know about asymmetric triangle, it's going to be that shape, just bigger. Yeah. And yes, it looks like a bib, but I don't mind that so much personally. Oh, it's so nice. I really want to work on that because I think it's going to look really cool. And yeah, I like to alternate with my designs between color work, traditional rustic yarn thingy, and more modern hand-dyed yarn, merino type of shawl, because I like both. I have a preference for the former, but I like both, and I think, and sometimes I get inspired to do something with hand-dyed merino, you know. It's just, it happens, because there are so many pretty things out there, and you will see that my Insomnia shopping is very much on the lines of that. I will talk about this a little bit later. But yeah, I think that I have said everything about knitting, about what I've been making. I just thought I would share with you a couple of things that have arrived in the mail to finish this week's episode. I have the impression that I'm very messy this week. I do apologize for it. But yeah, I had some intense insomnia shopping lately, but there are things that I've been eyeing for a while, so it still is okay. And it's design yarn. I sort of prepared my spring designs. So first off is this. So this is yarn from Feather and Fin, which is a German indie dyer that I really like. She makes tools mostly. I like her colors. I like everything that she's doing. I've been wanting to get some of her yarn for a really long time. She does really good gradients as well, if you want to have a look. I really like what she's doing. And recently she had a big update with a bunch of new colors. And so I got this, which is cornflower blue. I hesitated a long time between this and the pine green, but I thought, no, it's going to be very green in my life at the moment. So I thought a spring thing would look really cool in this blue. And it's a sock base, so it's 75 superwash merino and 25 nylon, you know, basic. It's mulesing free, which I appreciate when it's written. And yeah, this will become a sweater. This will become a loose-fitted, comfortable raglan sweater with little details on the cuff and the hem. I already know exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know if it's going to work. I want it to be top down. I'm not sure, because the motif I have in mind, I know it works bottom up. I understand how it should work top down, so I'm going to try. I'm going to swatch and see if I can make it happen. But yeah, I'm just picturing a really basic, comfortable garment for spring. And something with textures, like small textures, small details. Something really wearable. Yeah, that will be... Because I have a lot of garments planned. Some... no, all of them are either have strong cables on them or colorwork. And I kind of felt like I wanted to have something a little bit more basic for spring, so this will be it. But I can't be bothered to design something without having texture in it, so there will be a little thing happening with the ribbing, and I think it's going to be very pretty in that yarn. And yeah, the second thing I have shopped during my insomnia, it is yarn from Tiny Human Knits. So she's from Canada, and I don't know what happened, but usually whenever I buy things from Canada, it takes ages to arrive. Once it's shipped, it usually takes a good month. I don't know why. Actually, now that I think about it, I believe Tiny Human Knits is from Western Canada, and whenever, like, the previous purchases I have made were from people either in Quebec or near the eastern part of Canada, and so even though it makes zero sense, it seems that there's a pattern in which the closer you are, the longer it takes. But this, it took 1 week to arrive after it was shipped. So, yay Canada Post. I don't know what you did, and it's weird because apparently they had some issues, but no, it arrived really, really quickly. So, okay, so what made me fall in love was this. She posted on Instagram this. which is a collection of minis. And isn't this just the most beautiful thing ever? It is. I was speechless when I saw them on Instagram and when I received them. I really love them. So there are 5 sock minis, so it's like 400 meters total or something. Yeah, I really love them. It's like a pumpkin spice collection, that's what she called it, and they're stunning. I am more and more attracted towards tonal dyers or variegated or speckled, but in where speckles stay in the same range of colors, and I just really like that. And I saw in her shop that she had this, which is her, and this is going to be rather impossible to show. Yes, you can see. It's sorry for the sunlight. Please do not be blinded, but it has some speckles of, there's one here, I almost got it, there it is. Some speckles of orange and blue, and yeah, the blue breaks in minty green, and the orange breaks in pinks. It's really subtle and really nice. It's her plain and simple colorway. And so I thought that all of this together would make a really nice spring shawl. I'm seeing something crescent shape with short rows to incorporate the minis. Something with texture, I don't know. I want all of them to be together and they're going to be beautiful. It's going to be really subtle, a little bit more contrasty here and then a little bit subtler, but I think it will look really nice. This one is a different base. This is a non-superwash merino, 100% non-superwash merino. I don't care about mixing them. It seemed to me like she was like she was stopping that base. It was on sale, which is a shame because I like non-superwash merino, and look, speckles on non-superwash. It's tightly twisted. Maybe that's why it works. I don't know. It's really smooth feel to it. Definitely different than the nylon one, but it's yeah, it's nice. It has bits of beige and oh, that's so nice. It's going to be really cool. And finally, well, not finally, but finally of those that I already have with me is so I really like tweed yarns. I don't think I've shown you. I got a sweater's quantity of a natural tweed yarn to make a boxy, which I will do someday. And I really like tweed yarns, and I've discussed about it with Lerge from Fiber Tales, who really loves sock yarn, sock tweed yarns too. Tweed yarns. And yeah, it's just a bit hard to find tweed yarns that are strong. Like there's a bunch of single ply tweed yarns, Donegal yarns that are interesting, but yeah, I kind of want sock yarns with tweed. It's a bit hard to find any, and I know a couple indie dyers that have it, including Hedgerow Yarn, which is a very well-known UK dyer, and recently she had an update with her sock sets, and I really like this tweed base because look at how big and many the Donegal nips are. I just love them so much. It comes with a mini, so it's pistachio toffee. I really like this. It's 85% superwash merino, 15% Donegal nip. Most of the times the little tweed nips are viscose or Donegal, and yeah, we were talking with Lerge that we would like to see more options like natural non-superwash, eventually tweedy yarns. I just think this is so beautiful. I don't understand why people... I mean, if there is not as many options, maybe it's because there's not so much demand, but why wouldn't you want that? I mean, it's stunning, and I've watched Fibetta's latest episode, and she has bought a bunch of yarn from Lana Grossa, who has a tweed sock base. And obviously, I hadn't even finished watching her episode that I was already buying the same yarns. Not exactly, I think I got some different colours, I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait to try them. But yeah, more tweed. And these will become socks for spring as well. I know what I will do. I have a design in mind that is a variation from a submission I did that was rejected. Because it happens. And yeah, it's really, really beautiful. I really like Hedgerow yarn's dyeing style. And I had a hard time because she had a few sock sets in the tweed yarn available, and I had a really hard time choosing. But I think this is really nice and subtle. Plain. I wonder who flies on that plane, because it's super expensive. It's like 100 euros to go to Paris once and 100 euros back. The southwest of France is doomed transport-wise, because we depend on Toulouse airport. Well, there's an airport where I live, but since there's the Toulouse airport here, which is where Airbus is mainly situated, yeah, we're not having a lot of options. Very little trains. We don't have high-speed train, so basically if you want to go to Paris by train, it takes 6 hours from where I live, because you have to go to the ocean, and basically between the ocean and where I live there's no high-speed train, so you're on the train next to the highway and you see the cars faster than you. It's really it takes longer to go from where I live to the ocean, which is 2 hours by car, but it takes about the same, like a little bit over 2 hours by train. And then Bordeaux, which is the ocean place, Paris, it's like 2 hours and a half, so it's for a much greater distance. I don't know why I'm talking about these planes that are flying, even though they're too expensive. Yes, I think that's it for the Insomnia shopping results. I do have like a book pattern review to talk to you about. So, and we're moving from Superwash Merino to this, which is Wildwood, the new book by Marie Wallin. And if you've watched the podcast before, you know I really like Marie Wallin. I have a bunch of her books, and this is her new collection of hand knits, which 11 designs which are knitted out of her new yarn, British Breed yarn. And so they're like mostly color work, but Marie Wallin is really talented for fine cabled and twisted stitches design as well. And this is a stunning collection. I like all of the designs. I would make all of them. Look at this. Look at this. Like in Shetland, her previous larger collection, there's one that I don't like so much, but in this one, I like all of them. As usual, the photography is beautiful. So is the model. It's always the same model. Georgia, her name is. And the photography is so stunning. Yeah, as soon as Marie Wallin published the previews for this book on her Instagram, I just knew I wanted to get it because it's a beautiful collection. I really like it. And what is interesting is that, so Marie Wallin said she designs really intense ferrule or twisted stitches garments, which can be a little bit scary for a beginner. And so she also has a bunch of accessories which are more accessible, like she has cowls and things like this. But what I really like in this collection is that even garments that are accessible garments. So there's always, well, this yoke I showed you, which is, what's its name? Birch. The birch yoke. There's always a simpler yoke design, but there's a couple others garments that are in the round, which is, say, a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more easy on modern type knitters. Like, and there's a cardigan that's steeked. Yes, here it is, or the Orthern cardigan. It's really nice and it's steeked. So I really appreciate that in that collection. I think it's maybe a better approach. Things that don't look as scary. Most of the garments are still flat, but there's a couple that are in the round and steeked, and that's really nice. As usual, Marie provides instruction for steeking, for tension, and a bunch of different things in her patterns. Since it's a big book, the charts are readable on here. But you do also have a PDF version that is sent to your mail when you buy the book, so that's really convenient as well. And yeah, I'm really happy I got this collection. I just want to show you my favorites. So favorite number one is this Wild Rose. So it's a tunic length, which I don't like. I just don't wear that. But I can, like, I would cut it maybe here and make the corrugated rim here. But I just think that this uses all the colors of Marie's yarn, the new yarn brand that she released with this book, and I just think it's really beautiful. Like the blue, I think it's the blue and the purple that get me. I really like this, and I really like the motif. I think it's really beautiful. The other garment that I really like is Chestnut, which is the cardigan. And I think this is my favorite cardigan that Marie has, like a classic cardigan that Marie has ever designed. It's really nice patterning. I really like it. And it's so wearable, and I really like this. It's a satin sleeve cardigan, which is really interesting. And yeah, I really like it, and I do want to try the yarn. Let me just show you quickly the colors. I mean, if you're an autumn person, look at this. Absolutely beautiful. It's a 4-ply yarn worsted span using what did she say? It has Blue Face Leicester, Wensleydale, Exmoor something, and then it has the Zwartbol. You know, the sheep that is the Scrabble winning word, Zwartbols. Anyway, it's a yarn that is made to celebrate British breeds and British spinning tradition. It's been spun by John Arbon, as is everything. But it's it looks like it's a really beautiful yarn, and yeah, I would really like to try them. Obviously, it would be really easy to find substitute in Holst Supersoft and Jamieson's as well. The tension for most of these is 28 stitches per 10 centimeter, which, yes, it's tight. You have to take that into consideration. And just let me tell you the last, like the one that, it's funny because in the Marie Walling collection, the design that's just steals the deals for me is always the non-color work one, which is funny. But look at this. Can you see? Let me show you the trees are beautiful, but you can't see the garment. It's you. Look at that. And I'm a little bit, I have a design that I sent for a collaboration in the summer that has that exact sort of shaping at the bottom, so I'm a little bit like, no wonder I love it. But it's just so nice. I really like it. I really like it. So yeah, Wildwood, another beautiful collection by Marie Walling, and I do love Shetland. I think this is a little bit more approachable, maybe. So if you have to choose between the two, Wildwood is, I think, the way. If you have to choose, get the two, get Shetland and Wildwood. But if you have to choose, maybe Wildwood is has easier garments to try. And as I was pre-ordering Wildwood, I decided that it was time that I stopped being silly. There's a collection by Marie Walling called North Sea that I love, and I've been wanting to get it for some time now, and I just never did. I don't know why, I just never actually bought it. But then I saw on Instagram that, so her account is lisa.may with Mai.London. She makes stunning pictures, stunning knitting, stunning everything. I really like her account. I'm sure you know about her. She has a really beautiful Instagram account. And she knitted the Sky sweater from the North Sea collection. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's ridiculous. Next time I order from Marie Walling, I'm getting North Sea. And I did. And here it is. And it's beautiful. Love it. So it's can I say something else than it's beautiful? It's just beautiful. It's less color work, more intricate fisherman thingy. Again, beautiful photography. Again, same model. Her name is Georgia. She just fits perfectly. But yeah, this is the Sky pullover in question, which mixes colorwork and twisted cables, and it's beautiful. It's one of my favorites from this collection. I also really like this. So you can see it's this is like a Guernsey type sweater. You can see it's a different aspect of Marie's work, but I think it's just as she's just as talented. My favorite one from this collection, however, is a colorwork garment. It's this. What's its name? Teary? Teary. I'm sorry if I'm referring it. It's a black and white colorwork. I think it's a little bit too big here. I wouldn't wear it that loose. I would make a size a little bit more fitted, I think. I think it's really cool. The play on the black and white and how it reverses and the corrugated rib, and I really like it. I think it's really nice. It's not a corrugated rib, is it? Ah, no, it has garter stitches. Yes, garter stitch in it. Oh, so it has texture interest as well. And yeah, I really like it. I really like that collection as well. So I'm so happy I got it. And I'm starting to get a pretty good collection of Marie Walling's books, which I couldn't be happier with, because she is a designer whose work I admire, and I really should start knitting her designs. Hey, so I'm adding a little clip here, as if the episode wasn't long enough, because someone asked me to talk about steeking for sleeves, because I mentioned it to someone, and they asked me to talk a little bit more about it because they were interested. And since it makes perfect sense with Marie Woolen's design, since like it's a technique that you can use in color work, and there's this sweater here, for example, that is a great support for me to explain to you what it's all about. So I thought I would add it in. So the reason I talked about steeking sleeve holes to someone is because a lot of drop shoulders sweaters are knit bottom up in the round, and then you separate for the sleeves, for the front and the back actually, and then you're going to knit flat the top of the sweater while you have knit the bottom in the round. And some people have a really huge difference in their tension if they're knitting in the round or if they're knitting flat. And so this is a problem because then they have to kind of juggle, go down needle sizes to get the same gauge in the round and flat. There's a way to keep knitting in the round all the way up, even for a drop shoulder cardigan, and it's to steek. And so what you do basically to make it work is that you knit your body in the round as the pattern says. Then when you come to the arm hole, like it is here, for example, you can see the sleeves are picked up here and here. You, instead of separating front and back, usually the pattern will tell you to cast off a few stitches here for the underarm. Well, instead of doing that, you just cast on extra stitches for a steek, as you would for the front of, if you would make a cardigan. You just cast on like 5 or 7 stitches, and then you keep knitting in the round until you come to the neckline. Depending on the pattern, you can also work shaping for the shoulders and the back. You kind of have to adapt for this and know what you're doing. But it works also to just make it a straight sweater. So you're going to have basically something like this. So on both sides, here it's going to be attached. The front and the back are going to be attached by a steek here. So you would have, you can cut before seaming the shoulders, because you're going to have your steek stitches here, and you're just going to cut them down to the armhole and securing them like you do with a steek. And then you're going to have the opening here, and you're going to be able to pick up stitches all around and go down as you would normally. So yes, I hope that makes sense. I think seeing this like this is a little bit easier. Imagine this is all together because there's a steek here attaching the back with the front, and that is what you're cutting, and it's easier to do it before you seam the shoulder, obviously. But yeah, that is how it would work. It's an interesting technique. I'm kind of planning a design that would use it, but that's not going to be before several months ahead. But yeah, I hope it makes sense. If you look online, I'm sure you can find a few resources about this. Andrea from Fruity Knitting, when she knitted her Samfree pullover, which was a design by Marie Woolen, I believe she sticked the armholes too, so you can have a look on Fruity Knitting as well. I'll try to find the link for that episode, because I think she filmed a tutorial and everything, so I'll link it in the description down below. Yes, I think I'm done. I think I have said everything I needed to say. I just quickly, because I always forget to mention it, I have some yarn to distash. And I shared on Instagram, but nobody seems to be interested, so I'm just going to say it here again. I have 4 skeins of Cascade 220 in the Coquelicot, the red colorway. It's 9404, and I bought this because I wanted to make the Chuck sweater by Andy Sutherland, and I don't think I'm going to make it. I do like it, but I don't think I'll have the time to make it, and I can't figure out what to do with this thread. I think it would look stunning as the Chuck sweater, but I'm not so sure about making it, and I can't find any other options. So yeah, if you like this red, I don't know, I would like to destash it or exchange it for something else. Yeah, they're skein, I never touched them. I don't smoke, nobody smokes, I just have cats, but they don't get near the yarn. So yeah, if you'd like to take them and give them a loving home, or exchange them for something, I don't know, anything, do send me a message on Instagram, and yeah, maybe we can figure something out, because I would like them to go to a place where they will be used. So yeah, I'm going to stop now. I think it's going to be a very long episode. I hope you enjoyed, even though I feel I was a little bit messy, but hey, I had lots of things to share, lots of pretty yarn books to show. So yeah, I will see you next week, I think. Yes, my phone died, so bye bye. Have a lovely time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.